Are we ready? Oh, I can hear my voice. My name is Leanne Mates. I'm the election spokesperson. Welcome to our fourth landmark post-elections presser. I don't have to introduce the leadership. Everybody is familiar with them. I'm just going to hand over to President, who is leading the press conference.
International observers here, international media, so you must introduce everyone.
Okay, thank you, President. We'll start off on your far right, left, is our Treasurer General, Ompile. On our far left, or is it right for you, we have our Deputy Secretary General, Bobby. Next to the Deputy Secretary General, we have our Secretary General, Marshall, Commissar Marshall. And then next, what's happening? Let there be love. Can everybody see now? And then we have our Deputy President, Commissar Floyd Shabambu, and then of course we have our Commander-in-Chief, Julius Malema. President, are we ready to hand over?
Thank you very much, members of the media. We want to take this opportunity as the economic freedom fighters to thank the people of South Africa who voted for the EFF in the 2021 local government elections. We are welcoming the election results. We think that there are no perfect elections anywhere in the world. That's why at some point in America, someone was saying, stop the counting in a developed world. The small glitches and technical problems that we had experienced in our wards, in our voting stations, are to be expected during such a difficult period where you have to organize elections within a short space of time. Some of the voters did not find themselves on the voters' roll because when they were registering, they were using a different gadget which threw people all over. But we are happy that this matter was brought up, and we hope that going forward it will be fixed. We commend the Independent Electoral Commission and majority of its staff members and volunteers for a job well done. Majority of IC staff members and volunteers were well behaved and conducted election in a dignified way. We appreciate that the IEC has introduced the voter management devices which verify the registration status of all voters and provide real-time statistics on the number of people who have casted their votes. Despite glitches in some areas, the introduction of technology must always be embraced and appreciated. It took me almost, those who were there, 45 minutes to vote, and the queue was not long because of this voter management device that they'd introduced. It kept on rebooting and rebooting, but you can't use that to pass judgment of negativity on something that we are using for the first time. But what excites us in the EFF is that at least there is an introduction of technology. In the past, the IEC was going to be telling us now, as they concluded elections, as to how many people have voted. So this conversation we're having of a lower turnout, it was going to take place properly now as they conclude counting votes, but it was able to take place much earlier were to know much earlier as to what is the turnout. And that device, if they are permitted to tell us, they can tell us, IEC people, who voted where, and the gender and the race and the age, if they so wish. They can give us all of that information. So we then begin to have a scientific debate on whether the youth is voting or not. Because as things are, we use our naked eye and general information that, hey, since I didn't see young people on the queue, they are not voting. But now we've got an equipment which is able to give us that information. And it must be welcomed because it means more other electronic means are going to be introduced going into the elections. What is more exciting is that the ANC has gone below 50%. Someone was supposed to play a Tsonga music here so I can dance for you. I'm the happiest man because when we started this mission in 2013, we said we are going to make sure that the ANC is out of power. And we did that in 2016 and the mission is continuing. So we are extremely excited. Whether it is the EFF, whether it's the DA or any other one who reduces the ANC majority to humble them, then we're happy. Because what is the strategic objective? The strategic objective is that the ruling party of thieves and gangsters that have turned against black people must get out of power. And I said this when we formed the EFF in Marikana, that the elephant is too big, but we'll eat it bit by bit. So we are more than happy with that outcome, more than happy with the outcome of the EFF, because even when major political parties are declining, the EFF stands firm and grows. And then the EFF canvasses new grounds. And the EFF has now demonstrated to many that it is not a tribalistic organization, it's not a regionalistic organization, it's a serious national organization with a national footprint. So before you compare us with anyone, you must compare us with people who are national. And we are only three, by the way, in South Africa. It's the ANC, it's the DA, it's the EFF. None of them. IFP is in KwaZulu-Natal. And we know when it was formed, it was a cultural group. It was not a political party to concentrate on Zulu culture. So it hasn't gone beyond that, its original mission. Then you can go to any other party you so wish to go to. They are all regionalistic. So do not compare us with regional parties. We are a national party with a footprint everywhere. And when you compare the three national parties, we are the only ones who are consistently growing. None of the two are growing. And someone says, we are not growing at a pace where we want. No. We are going to take for as long as it takes to grow. We are not engaged in a popcorn revolution. We are engaged in people's revolution. So when you do that, you first have to win the heart, the souls, and the minds of your people. Because we have radical policies. We don't want people who reject the ANC and come to the EFF for a purpose of a rebound. We want them to be in total love with the EFF because they appreciate and understand its policy. But if it's a rebound, it will not have longevity. Politics is longevity. It's not excitement. So this quick arrangement that people are looking for, we are not people of quick. We're people of longevity. So we are in a revolution for a very long time. and it will take whatever it takes. The ANC was formed in 1912. 1912. It only took power in 1994. After serious decades, then people fell in love with it, who grew up with it, generation after generation. So we are building something like that, an organization that will be built ground up with a very clear, solid foundation. So now, elections are over. We must all go and work for the people. There are areas that we want to make an appeal as the EFF, which do not need political differences. The issue of drinkable water, the issue of proper sanitation, dependable electricity, taking care of all disabled people, and making sure that our people have flushing toilet. In the next 5 years, we as political parties should be signing a pact that in the next 5 years, there will not be a single household in South Africa without a flushing toilet, so that the journey to restore the dignity of our people starts now. In light of the fact that there were no outright winners in different municipalities, the EFF will engage with all political parties that will approach us to talk about constituted government in different municipalities. The political parties that approach us must know that the first item on the agenda before sharing of positions will be the commitment to the people. Anyone who comes to the EFF must come with a clear agenda of land redistribution, water provision, jobs, sanitation, and care of disabled people. We are willing to listen to everyone and will take decision on coalition only when we are satisfied that they will lead to the total upliftment of our people and defeating poverty. The nature and form of how these conditions will be constituted will be discussed with different political parties and will be under the constant guidance of members of the EFF, communities where coalitions will happen, and Central Command team. We once again thank the ground forces of the EFF and all its volunteers who have fought a good fight. We are not going to do a coalition of positions. Maybe let's tell you something, that we are prepared to vote for people to go into government as long as we have an agreement with them, without taking up any position. We can say to them, we will vote for you to be in power. We don't want a position, but please, let's agree on the following immediate things. Let's take Tshwane, for instance. We can sign a coalition agreement in Tshwane with anyone who says we'll give the people of Hammanskraal water in the next 6 months. It must be implementable programs that have time frames, not some contract with no time frames. We need things that are going to be done, and they're going to be done now, and our people must see them. We don't have to be inside for you to do that. As long as you agree to do it, why not? We can vote for you. If we find no one agrees with us on anything, we're prepared to sit in our opposition benches and play our role as the opposition. We did that in the previous elections, in Tshwane and everywhere else. So we're not in a hurry for anything. The people of South Africa have voted, and their vote must be respected. We have no right to howl insult at the people of South Africa for choosing the way they chose. Nobody can impose himself or herself on the will of the people. We must accept this result and congratulate the people of South Africa for conducting peaceful elections and continuing to be exemplary in the continent of Africa. So where we are very happy with the elections. We're happy with the IEC. We're happy with our numbers, and we'll continue to work for our people. So the work starts now. We must not postpone and think that we'll see it after. The issue of turnout, it was bound to happen. Firstly, there was a huge scare that this thing is going to kill us. 1 million graves were digged here in Tshwane by the ANC, that we are going to die, they're going to bury us. And then people died, our relatives died. There's no single one of us in this room who didn't have someone close who died because of this pandemic. Then there was a debate whether we're postponing or not. Then there was that confusion. Musenege said, yes, postpone. Then the court came later, said, no, you must not postpone. That thing on its own demoralized our people. So you will be unfair and unscientific to not look at the conditions that prevailed during the elections. What conditions? So even if there was a war, you would have received a different turnout. So material condition at all material times should inform our thinking. We must not be fanatics and just howl without using science. So there was this pandemic. Now, elections, also will tell you she has been running them. They're the SABC and covering them very well. You know, you need excitement. There must be excitement. So the regulations do not allow the excitement, because it is the excitement that builds an election mood. That's why we always say there must be election mood. So what is an election mood? When your party fills up Orlando Stadium in raid, and then even on the pitch, those who are at home, depending on which TV covers them, I said also if he was doing it very well, she will give you a nice picture of the whole stadium, taking it this way, that way, where the excitement is and all of that. As it rolls like that, someone who's sitting at home says, hey, our party. Because there is an excitement. Someone at home feels like we want to stand up and do it now. There was no such a thing. There was no mood. What made matters worse is to compete with the incumbent that looks permanently tired. Those of you who watch boxing, there must be two parties fighting. If the other party is not fighting, the boxing match is not exciting. The man is just not exciting. It's very boring to fight against him. And it looks like you are taking an innocent person. And you feel guilty about it. So the president doesn't bring excitement in politics and makes politics boring and kills the political excitement and the mood of elections. So more than anything, those are the conditions. We tried, but alone we can't do it. Everybody must come to the party, and the law must allow us to come to the party and push the narrative of the excitement. So that was the situation. Nothing else, nothing else. Our people, the story that our people have voted by being absent is too elitist and detached from reality. It's not true. It's an elitist commentary story of armchair critics who can't even organize a first-year birthday party, who have never organized anything in their lives. We are on the ground. Our people are angry. They want services now. But all of these factors we spoke about have led to where we are. It's going to be worse in 2024. It's going to be worse. Why? The man is going to the second term. Leave that thing of not getting the second term from the ANC. Those clowns who are fighting with him in the ANC, they are clownish. They will not win against him. So they can't even put a match. We ran conferences before of very difficult men like Mbeki plotting to remove them. We know how conferences are. We see them before. This guy is not going to be removed. Leave that thing. Leave that thing. They won't remove him. No one can stand against him. So the story that Ramaphosa is going to be removed is neither here nor there. It's a lie. But it's good for us because when he goes for the second term, there's no longer Ramaphoria. The guy has been there for a term. Now he's asking for a second term. People are going to say, man, well, now we know you and we know your stories. So unlike when he came in and all of you pumped him, the man, even when he declined the ANC votes in 2019, the man who rescued the ANC, it could have been worse. It's worse now with the man at the helm. He believed you are praising and a lie, you told him. The same thing you are doing with Herman. Pumping him and making him believe that, he's a national hero. And you are talking to a street hero, not a national hero. Their spokesperson, the way they are so innocent, shame. They win a award in Newcastle, it says, we just won our first municipality. So the way you are pumping Herman, but later in the evening yesterday, you were tired, all of you, of pumping him because the reality was that exactly what it is. So you're going to pump him. There is nothing he's going to do. It's the end of it. It's done. The man knows that he is original material. All he wants is to be a mayor. And then Makosi from KZN forces him to go and contest in KZN, in Tegwini and Newcastle. The man didn't want to go there. He wanted to go in Joburg and be a mayor. That's what he wants. So when you compare him to all of this, you are making his life difficult. Man, I don't want those ones. I just want to be a mayor of Joburg. That's what he wants. So we want the whole of South Africa. You can't say, I want to remove the ANC, and then you only contest in Joburg. Go to Guyana where they give the ANC 85%. They don't have water, they don't have electricity, they don't have roads, they don't have anything. They push a wheelbarrow on the day of the elections to go and fetch wood. And then when journalists interview them, they say, no, I quickly went to fetch wood, I'm dropping the wood, I'm rushing to vote. They vote ANC. They don't have anything except Sasa money. Nothing. 85% of them vote for the ANC. So if you want to remove the ANC, go there. Go where the ANC is. Don't go where the ANC is obviously declining. We are in the villages who are fighting it where it matters the most, the whole country. So we thought we needed to clarify those issues, but otherwise, nice elections within a month, and here we are, back to work. Coalitions are not a work. It's a group of elite, predominantly males, looking after their egos. So it shouldn't be a difficult job to do. You just give someone something, they are sorted. They like it that way. If you don't talk about them, they collapse the negotiation. But if you say, Mzwandile Mbeje can be a mayor, or you are talking properly now, I can hear you. So they are not easy and difficult to handle coalitions. It's egos and individuals' personal interests and uncontrollable ambition for power. That's what constitutes the discussions of coalitions. We are not going to approach anyone. We have not been elected as a majority in any municipality, which is a clear indication of how people feel about us. So we shouldn't go around bothering anyone. But those who come to us, they will find our door open. Thank you.
Thank you, President. Now for your favorite part, questions and answers. We'll take 5 at a time. There's many of you here. President, is 5 okay? Questions. So please, your name and the media house you represent. And try to keep it to 1 question per journalist, please. Okay, let's start off. So your mics are all working. I think it's just this row in the front where the desk mics are not working, but we have 2 roaming mics. Where's Karabo in them? Okay, let's go. Is there anybody in this row? Let's start off. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to go row by row. And then the row behind. Okay, let's do those 4. 5. Okay. Number 1, let's go.
My name is Njanji Chauke from the SABC News Channel. I just want to check, when we speak to a lot of analysts, they believe that you ran a very great campaign. How do you explain your performance? You don't have a majority anywhere. How do you explain your performance? And obviously, the EFF is not a party of only young people. We know there's a lot of voter apathy among young people. What is your message to young people? I know the Gogos also vote for the EFF, but what would you like to say to young people? Because many people feel that had many young people come out instead of having Bryce, the EFF will have performed much better. Thank you.
Number 2.
Francis Machate from Progressive Independent News Agency. My first question will be about the situation in Bushbuck Ridge. I think you have got a report on that since one of your party members there was part of those who lodged a complaint. What is the situation there, and what is the communication that you have with the IEC regarding that situation? And one thing that I've noticed, there is no results for that particular Ward 16 on the IEC results. So what is the communication there, and what is going to happen? Are we going to have results announced without that Ward result announced? Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Olim Gambi from Newsroom Africa. The question I'd like to pose to you has to do with your campaign going into this election, and that campaign was very clear. You wanted to win a municipality or municipalities to run them. You haven't won a single. As you introspect, is there a possibility that you're willing to accept, at least for now, that people do not want you to govern? They're happy with you sitting in opposition benches. Thanks.
Number 4, I think it was Sophie.
Thank you so much. My name is Sophie Mkwena from the SABC. I just want to look at this issue of a coalition or coalition government. When you look at the Scandinavian model, particularly in a Swedish coalition, and you also look at Belgium, but going even as far as the entire European Union, you also have Germany. For years, they have had this kind of arrangement. Are you looking at perhaps looking at case studies in those countries so that this perhaps you can extend to South Africa, but indeed adapt to the situation in South Africa? Or I can say on the continent, because the continent might have a different view on certain things. And then lastly, as a party that has modeled itself as a Pan-Africanist party that stands for issues that are related to Africa, what's your reaction to the current situation in Ethiopia, Tigray?
Mawande from the Sunday Times. First question is, I seem to sense a contradiction between what you are saying and what Floyd was saying yesterday about EFF being ready to be in government, especially in metros. I don't know whether I understood you correctly today. You seem to have backtracked from that, but maybe I'm wrong. Second part of the question is, if you get, for instance, 9% and then you go into a coalition with someone who's got 42, and then you get mayorship, you get maybe 5 MMCs, is that a process that is fair in your own analysis as the EFF to the voters who would have obviously rejected you if you get 9% and then you end up governing the same people that rejected you in that particular form? Lastly, do you have a sense at this stage of how much the EFF campaign cost? It looked quite fancy and expensive.
Okay, thank you, President.
Well, we just came out of the campaign, so we'll reconcile the figures and we'll come back to you. The campaign is not necessarily expensive. It all depends on how you go about it. So the little resources you have, how do you distribute them, and in which areas, and how strategic? Now, I've come to accept that the suburbs and places like Sandton, the malls, are occupied by high-end middle class. And those people are talkative and they know everything. So if you want people to talk about you, you go there. So you just take that place and put a lot of posters, and then they start. There are a lot of EFF posters everywhere. They've got data, then everybody starts speaking about you because you have occupied a strategic place. But if I take posters to Mahonis, where this guy comes from, they are going to remove them, not because they don't like EFF, to go and close the holes of the shacks in their mikukus there, and their RDP houses that are leaking already. So, and I don't get to be on the charts of anyone. So you ought to choose wisely. And at a face value, you create an impression that yes, these people are everywhere. So that's what happened. There is a doctor we're using at Ethekwini who produces our T-shirts, posters, and all that. He's amenable to give us credit of a particular amount and then produce for us. So we've managed to build a relationship with him. So you don't have to have the money, but you have to be trustworthy. So the ANC can no longer get a loan from the bank because it's overexposed. We can get a loan from the bank. Actually, the bank calls and say, do you need anything? Because we service our debts with the bank. Even with these elections, we took a credit with the bank. The ANC tried a facility, they refused because it's overexposed. So we are not overexposed and we are very scared of credit. Now that we are done, we are going to be taking certain percentages of money from councillors who have won as part of, for the next 3 months, as part of servicing the debt we have taken with the bank and other people. Because if we can't pay ourselves, then Rupert is going to pay. And then he's going to tell us what we must say and what we must not say. You know, Julius, your message is very good. You need to just soften it up. And that's what they did to Mandela. And that's what they do to all black people. No, you can say it, but say it differently. They neutralize you and they kill you. So the EFF sustains itself through party levies. And party levies that all other parties are doing, by the way. You never ask them about it. You never question it. You only question it when it's said about the EFF. We're going to do it. You just become a councillor one morning. Unotsu was solely councillor. Wanotoma ugola. Una norchelete with your weird poster jailer. Each your guy. A woman. Their plan. Labor badimu ba urata. You must contribute. So that's what we are going to do. Now, for the next 3 months, then we'll normalize it to a normal party levy. You look, Chief, whether we are 9 or 49% or 1%, if there is no outright winner, there's no one here who can go around trying to claim anything to us here. The people have not chosen anyone. They said we must make arrangements amongst ourselves. It's as is. It's like that. The SCO actually in universities survives like that, with one vote, one position after SRC elections, and it says, no, you give us president or else you can go. And then we end up having a president with one seat. That's what coalitions means. And then to go to our Sophie's question, we're always ready to study different types of options. In the EFF, case studying and studying generally is not a problem, because that's what makes us to be ahead all the time. That time, Koli, you think you have unleashed a very powerful question. Very, very powerful. You say, yeah. Don't you think the people don't want you to govern them? But it's too obvious. Agree, if they wanted us to govern them, they could have elected us. It's not a very powerful question. You are talking the things that happened. People said they don't want to be governed by the EFF. So what must I say? I must say, no, the people want us to govern them. No. It's obvious. They did not elect us. They are not ready to be led by the government of the EFF. But the EFF can lead them through a coalition. So when it is a coalition, it's not a government of the EFF. It's a coalition government. Unlike this racist of the DA suffering from white supremacy, even when they are in coalition with the other parties, they say where the DA governs better. Look at Tshwane. But they're not governing in Tshwane. It's a coalition. But their white skin can't allow them to speak very low of themselves. As long as they are there, they are the leaders. Therefore, they are going to say, that thing is a DA government. A coalition is not a coalition of the EFF. It is a coalition. It means different political parties coming together, and it must be respected. It must not be called any other thing except a coalition government. If we succeed in doing that, then we will govern. The issue of us governing, we are more than ready to govern. We're not backtracking anything. I'm saying what he said. Let them come, let's talk. If we're not ready to govern, we'll say no one is speaking to us. We don't want to talk to anyone. The first preferred model is that you take your municipality, we take our municipality. In that municipality, we supervise you through legislation. We don't go into the executive. We become speaker, chief whip, and committees, and we hold the executive accountable. And then where you give the EFF, you do the same. You don't come into the executive, you go into the legislature to hold the EFF government accountable, so that we don't compromise each other. We always keep each other on our toes. So that's a preferred type of a thing when it comes to the EFF. But when it goes to KZN, let's take, for instance, the IFP, where we can take it with the IFP alone, we are more than ready to work with the IFP and do work there in KZN. We have no problem. SG will deal with the Bushbuck Ridge one. I didn't know anything. You see, We need to get young people out, you are right, especially the ones of between 18 and 24. Those are the immediate graduates of adolescent. So they are still in a state of confusion. They are not interested. They don't even understand the purpose. So when you engage with them, you can hear that this is a dismissive generation which needs to be conscientized and then won over into the revolution. So the day we manage to take as many young people as possible out to go and vote, the ANC will be out of power, outrightly, not through this Ngamina Ngawena arrangement. If we work the ground, which we are doing, if you have not realized, we are permanently sitting in the universities, working and winning SRCs in those universities. Is part of winning the youth vote into the EFF, because that vote is very important and it will make a huge difference. What's happening in Ethiopia is really unacceptable. We hope that they cease fire and we find an immediate African solution to that problem. We're happy with the attitude of President Kenyatta, who speaks very forthrightly and openly about the happenings in Ethiopia. And we think that press statements from AU are not enough. There should be, some form of physical immediate intervention. And we can begin to experience long-lasting peace in the continent, because people know that if you engage in shenanigans, the continent is likely to come on you. The issue of Guinea, for instance, we don't know what happened to the president, except that we just told they are condemned and all of that. But what has followed practically and physically to make sure that the coup that happened doesn't become legitimized and it gets seriously isolated. So we need a follow-up on that. We are going to announce very soon the dates will be occupying all the borders of